If everything that comes from our family upbringing has been unhealthy, we carry that into our adult relationship. If I have my own depression, anxiety, self-esteem issues, poor body issues, just all the things that are internally going on, I don't know how to love, I don't know how to receive love, I don't know what love is, then of course, I'm the lowest common denominator in every relationship I enter into. And I make it all about everyone else. It's his fault, it's her fault, it's them, it's they. No, it's you.
It's marriage.
You.
What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome back to the Value TV show, the show where we give you tools to build and have healthy relationships. That's right, tools to build and have healthy relationships. I'm Jamel Jackson, your relationship mechanic. And I want to say to you guys, Happy New Year's, because the show has not been around since last year, but it's a new year, fresh start, fresh ideas, fresh tools, and no other better way to start it off with my dear friend, Hasani Pettiford, one of the founders of Couples Academy. He specializes in infidelity recovery, has a plethora amount of books out there that are very useful for relationships. I can go on and on. Today, we are going to dive into a topic that is very dear to my heart. And this topic is called, Does Marriage Matter? But before we proceed, how are you doing, brother?
I'm doing phenomenal, man. It's good to see you, Jamel. You're doing big things. I'm excited about you in 2023.
Yes. What you been up to?
Busy, building this practice, publishing more content, doing some international travel, conferences around the world. Just excited about what God is allowing us to really partake in.
Yeah, I'm going to go right here with this. What I get from people is they hate marriage.
Why is that?
It's not needed. No, it's no longer needed. I know we have the old school traditional ways that have painted our, painted our thought pattern and formed the whole ritual or ritualistic thing that marriage matters and it's the most important thing. But what I'm hearing in the public, because I deal with the public continually, is I hate marriage and it's not needed.
Well, there's been a huge societal shift, right? And so over the last decade or so, marriage has taken on a different, value, if you will. We're on the value show, a different value to people. So where once it was about partnership, it was about longevity, it was about legacy, it was about finding someone you could spend the rest of your life with and establish an intimate connection. I think, to be quite honest, because sex is so cavalier, because it's so casual, because you don't need commitment in order to engage in it, I think that has shifted how people see commitment. So really, it's not an issue of marriage per se. People don't value commitment because you can get all the benefits of a committed relationship without being in a committed relationship. And if we look at parents and if we look at people in society, and if everyone in our world doesn't have successful relationships, if they're broken families, if there's infidelity, if there's physical and emotional abuse, if everybody seems unhappy, why would I volunteer to sign up for something like that? So most people, based upon observation, have done marriage wrong. And we have to figure out how to do it right. But if everyone in my world is doing it wrong, then I'm assuming that's what marriage must look like. So I don't want any parts of it. So there's been a devaluing, if you will, in terms of people's perspective on what marriage is all about.
I don't even believe that marriage is per se the issue, because marriage is the institution. So things occur and then people say, it's marriage. I don't want to do this. Marriage does this. When you had the problem before there was marriage.
Exactly.
If anything, the marriage exposed what was already there.
Boom.
So before we even go forward, let's do this. How would you define marriage?
Well, listen, I have often said that there's a major difference between a relationship and a marriage, right? So let's talk about people who actually are married, because people use these terms interchangeably as if they're the same thing. Your marriage speaks to your partnership, whereas your relationship speaks to your companionship. So when we say marriage, we're talking about generating income for the household. That's how you show up as partners. Managing the finances, parenting the children, taking care of the dutiful, tactical, practical responsibilities of managing a household. It's how two people live together to create a lifestyle. Whereas your relationship speaks to companionship. That's where we're talking about meeting each other's emotional needs, speaking each other's love language, sexual fulfillment, quality time. It's the heartfelt connection between two people. So your marriage or your partnership speaks to hard skills, whereas your relationship or your companionship speaks to soft skills. So it's very possible that people can have horrible marriages, but great relationships, or horrible relationships, but great marriages, because they're two completely different things. If you ask the average person, rate your marriage on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of how you show up as partners, you'll get one number, but rate it in terms of how you show up as companions within the relationship, you may get a completely different number. And if we're not clear on what it is, there's no wonder why it's not working well for so many people.
Why do I need it? Because we live in a society now where it's like, I don't need that. I can just be in a committed relationship without marriage, because as soon as I bring that into it, it damages it. And that's a perspective thing, but why do I need it?
It's interesting when you hear people say that they don't need marriage. And I would ask them, talk to people who are experiencing life 20, 30, 40 years from where you currently are. Because a lot of people live in regret. A lot of people complain that, you know what, they have no one to share their life with. There's no level of companionship. There's no one that they can connect with. They live very lonely lives. Now, is that the case for anybody and everyone who's single? Absolutely not. But I think that there are some major benefits to marriage. First of all, regardless of your faith tradition, whether you're Jewish, Muslim, Christian, whatever the case may be, most believe in some type of creator, and marriage was the first institution ever created by God. Before government, before education, before religion, it was marriage. So every civilization, the success of every civilization is predicated, number one, on the relationship between a man and a woman and the family that they build, right? So the family is the foundation of every community. A community is the foundation of every nation. A nation is the foundation of the world. So it all comes right back down to that interpersonal relationship. And so when that relationship is broken and tarnished and split apart, it impacts every area of society. That's number one. But beyond that, I mean, think about it. Not only do you benefit from it in terms of having an intimate emotional connection with a life partner that you trust, that you can't have with casual partners, then, you know, statistically, people who are married, they live longer. People who are married have better health. People who are married have better financial stability. People who are married even have more mental sanity. You know, reports have said that single people have a higher rate of depression and anxieties and all types of things that they're struggling with because they're doing life alone. But when you have the power of partnership and someone else that you can rely upon, it's just a completely different thing. And think about, I always like comparing a person who rents from a person who owns. Like if I rent, it's easy for me to get out of that lease. I'll break the lease, no big deal. I'll find something else. When I'm in a marriage, or if I'm owning a home, if you will, it's much more of a commitment. But let's talk about, because I've rented for years.
Yeah.
When I rented homes, there was a temporary type of feeling that I had. There wasn't a sense of stability that I had. But once I owned a home, there was a permanency. There was a settling. There was a different mental and emotional shift. And think about it. When you own something, don't you invest more into it? Because you know that there's a long-term benefit to your investment. But if I'm renting, I'm not painting those walls. I'm not adding a deck. I'm not doing all these things because I'm only going to be here for a couple of years. So I think from a commitment level, a longevity level, it's a completely different shift when you're just dating versus when you're married.
So I had this image that came in my mind, right? When we're talking about this commitment in marriage, when a person goes, the guy, he goes to bend on his knee. You know, I think about the level of commitment it takes just to even do that. He's bending down on his knee, and then the woman's looking down at him. There's about to be, that's another level of exchanging commitment.
Yeah.
She's looking down like, not all women, but she's looking down like, this is the person that I got to spend the rest of my life with. And this decision is based on me saying yes or no. The guy's bending his knee asking her, will you marry me? Some men don't want to do that because they're looking up and saying, this is the person, this is it.
Yeah.
No other people. I can't see nobody else, can't have sex with nobody else, can't go be smiling or happy or laugh with anybody. This is it. So most people won't bend their knee, and most people standing up won't say yes. Do you see that?
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, it's a huge level of commitment that comes with I do.
Is that what it is?
I mean, there is.
Is it the commitment level?
So, for instance, as a man, the reason why, first of all, there's an incalculable number of reasons why some men may not want to marry. I think this is assumption that most men are commitment phobes. Like they just are scared of commitment. There's a phenomenal book called The Myth of Male Power. And it talks about how so many men hate marriage because they hate divorce. Because if they've been married and are now divorced, they may still be legally and financially tied to people who hate them. So I'm financially providing for someone who I no longer am in a relationship with, I no longer get benefits from, and you have a disdain for me as well as the child that we produced. And now I have to go into another marriage potentially and be responsible for 2 households. So if they have a struggle with marriage, it's because the fear of divorce and what it's done to them. That's number one. But number two, a lot of men feel like I'm not ready yet financially. I'm still trying to figure myself out. I'm still trying to pay for my own lifestyle. And now I have to be responsible for yours, because at the end of the day, when a woman says I do, there's a name change. See, marriage is a name to name transaction. She's giving up her maiden name, her father's name, and bearing the name of her husband. So as long as she had her father's name, ideally, he was responsible for providing for her and protecting her. But now that's the role that the husband has to play. So it's not just about him anymore. It's about him. It's about his wife. It's about his children. And I think that most people in today's society, we're in such a very me, myself, and I individualistic society. What's in it for me? Right. And so when you're talking about love is a giving word. When you're talking about commitment, is what you do for others. And of course, there should be a mutual benefit, right? A mutual exchange, but it's more about giving, knowing that there's a law of reciprocity that says, as you give, you will receive.
Yeah.
And so I just think that most people don't truly understand what marriage is, the responsibilities of marriage, the levels of commitment, the expectations, and then the benefits. I
always say this, and I'm going to continue to say this. A lot of us like the idea of relationships, but we don't like the commitment, the work, the responsibility that it takes to have that relationship. A lot of men, let's address the men, because I experience a lot of women dealing with this. When they say, I don't want to be married, I've seen this happen with another marriage, or my dad or my uncle or my aunt, whoever in a family member. So their perspective is distorted. There's wounds that they're dealing with. They work hard at everything else, though.
Yes.
I work hard to have a successful business.
Yes.
I work hard to have a successful education. I'm working hard in all these other areas. But when it comes to this woman that I'm with, or I have been with for however amount of months or years, I don't want that work.
So number one, proximity is power. So as I said earlier, if you're in close proximity of individuals who've been in relationships that did not work, and that's the only thing that you're exposed to, then that's all you know. So your limited experience becomes your reality, and it's true for the world. And that's why we have to be intentional about connecting ourselves with other people who are doing life better than us. You know, we talk about the law of 33. Like 33% of the people in your life should be lower than you, because you should inspire them and should be pulling them up. 33% of the people in your life should be your positive reinforcing peers, because you're moving in a positive direction. But then 33% of the people in your life should be 10x where you are. Those are the ones that inspire you to become your best self. And I think that if we were more exposed to people who 10x'd us in relationships, in finances, in business, in all areas of life, we would see another reality and not be so soaked and saturated with a mindset that says it can't work because no one in my circumference has done it well. So I think that's the first piece, exposure. I tell people all the time who have gotten married, who are going through struggles, or I ask them the question, well, have you gone to premarital? Have you read a book? Have you gone to a seminar? Have you done a class? Have you done anything to invest in your relationship to figure out how it can work? And most people will tell you, no, we haven't. Because for most people, they make decisions on who they wed based upon physical attraction and emotional desirability. So if you look good and you make me feel good, then it's all good. Let's walk down this aisle. But that is not setting you up for a long-term, mutually beneficial, long-lasting relationships, because at the end of the day, you're going to look different in a couple of years. Have a couple babies, live life. Physically, you're going to change. So it's about the inner man. It's about the character, the integrity, the spirit, the heart of a person, those qualities that are critically important. And people aren't taking the time. Listen, if you can't do a relationship right, you certainly can't do a marriage right. You see, who you are before you say I do is an indication of who you're going to be once you say I do. It's not like you go through a metamorphosis and a transformation in the I do and turn out a completely different person. And so either people are ignoring who they're really with, they see all the red flags and they ignore it because they want to race to get married, right? Or people are so discouraged by what they see, they figure, what's the point? Because it's not going to work out anyway. So there's just it's a mindset shift. Your marriage is mindset at the end of the day.
You said two things I want to touch on. One, you said who you are, and then before that, you said the word exposure. The who you are part, it brings me back to a conversation I was having with my wife when I made that comment. Most people like the idea of a relationship, don't like the commitment, work, and responsibility. But she said, before even a relationship with somebody else, do you like the relationship with yourself?
Yes.
Are you
Yes.
Are you having work, responsibility, and effort in your own development?
Right.
So when you said that who you are, that's what that brought to my mind. Do you even know who you are? What are your aspirations?
Right.
What are the things you like, the things you don't like, before you enter into a committed relationship with somebody and even explore the idea of marriage?
Yes.
And be exposed to that. Because like you said, that word exposure, the things you were exposed to, if they were just from a limited perspective, and you also don't know who you are,
right?
Now you're bringing that to a person that may have an identity. They may know their identity, but you're bringing this, I don't know who I am, and this poor wounded exposure to this thing and say, let's do commitment.
So in essence, there's three relationships we have: the vertical relationship with God, the internal relationship with ourselves, and then the horizontal relationship with our partner. And, if you don't have a healthy relationship with another person, it's not always the person you're with. We point the finger and don't realize that there are 1, 2, 3 fingers pointing right back at us. And to your point, that relationship with ourselves, if we come from a family marinade, because we all have been marinated in something, in brokenness, in abuse.
What's going on, beautiful people? I am Jamel Jackson, your relationship mechanic, and I am so excited because I partnered up with my dear friend
Joseph Wilson, marriage and family therapist, and welcome to Wake Up in Love. And this is a unique community of people who believe in forming healthy relationships, and we meet daily throughout the week to get support, encouragement, and most importantly, practical skills and strategies for starting and maintaining a healthy relationship. So the way this breaks down is each month we will have a dedicated theme for the month to guide our conversations throughout the week. So for example, if we're talking about communication, on Monday, we're going to talk about different ways that we communicate. On Tuesday, we're going to focus on active listening. And on Wednesday, we will focus on how to pause before we actually respond to our partners. This will be how we guide each of our conversations each week. So we want you to join our relationship community, Wake Up in Love. Listen, relationships are tough. If you're single and have been out there dating and have had failed relationship after relationship and don't know where you're going wrong in your dating strategy, this community may be for you. If you're in a committed relationship and you're trying to determine whether or not you should jump the broom or go your separate ways, this type of group is for you. And if you have taken those marriage vows, but your relationship seems draining and you seem like you're in the hamster wheel of dysfunction, this support group is for you.
Now, I know what you're probably thinking. How much does it cost? Everybody wants to get down. How much does this cost? Well, check this out. We have a 7-day free trial, 7-day trial where you can meet with us Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. 7-day trial. After that, if you decide to stick and stay, then it's only $99 a month. That's right. It's only $99 a month, and you can cancel at any time. There's no contract. If you are ready to take your relationship to the next level, or you're single and you're looking, I need some strategies, man, click that link right there and join the Wake Up in Love community. I'm Jamel Jackson.
And I'm Joseph Wilson.
And we out of here.
Peace.
If everything that comes from our family upbringing has been unhealthy, we carry that into our adult relationship. If I have my own depression, anxiety, self-esteem issues, poor body issues, just all the things that are internally going on, I don't know how to love. I don't know how to receive love. I don't know what love is. Then of course, I'm the lowest common denominator in every relationship I enter into. And I make it all about everyone else. It's his fault. It's her fault. It's them. It's they. No, it's you.
It's marriage.
It's marriage, right? And marriage, no. Marriage is perfect, but marriage is comprised of imperfect people. Mm-hmm. This is why we say that the greatest trait, the sexiest trait on a person is their commitment to personal growth and development. That's what it is. It's not what you do to your outer man, but what you continue to do to your inner man. It's not about what you have on your head. It's about what you have in your head. Mm-hmm. See, that's what matters. And when people are committed to that process, then they can have a marriage that far exceeds anything that they could even imagine.
Yeah, I always say we're all broken in some area,
yes,
some shape, form, or fashion. We're all broken. But my thing is, if you're willing to do something about your brokenness, then we can ride.
Absolutely.
Because there's always going to be an area in each individual that needs improvement, that needs fixing.
And this is why we say true coaching, if you will, is a lifelong process. You know, it's interesting because we work with couples all the time. So the first question that we're asked is, so how many sessions do we have to do? And my thing is like, how could I tell you how many sessions you're going to need? To be honest, it's a lifelong journey. Mm-hmm. You never reach your fullest potential, and you never know what your potential is until you're dead, right?
Yes.
Right? So there's always areas in every part of your being to grow and develop and to make a quantum leap to get to the next level. And when people are committed to that, and you have two willing participants engaged in a relationship, and they're both committed to becoming better, what more can you ask for? That means over the course of time, it's not the law of diminishing returns. The relationship gets worse over time. It gets better. You know, just like wine ages and gets better over time, a marriage can as well if you understand how to live your life the right way.
So what do we say? What do we say to, I want to speak to the woman first and then we'll talk to the man. What do we say to the woman that's in that position? They're with a guy. The relationship is a committed relationship. We've been together year, 2 years, 5 years, 6 years, 10 years. He's not trying to marry me. We talked about marriage and he just keeps telling me next year or 2 years from now, wait till I finish this. What word of wisdom or tool or advice will we give that person?
Leave.
Or these individuals.
Leave.
This is what I say.
Leave. Like at the end of the day, if you're in a relationship for 5 years, 10 years, and you want to take it to the next level. First of all, let's talk about this. You have the dating season, you have committed courtship, you have engagement, you have marriage. Those are the 4 seasons of a successful relationship. Mm-hmm. If you're in any season too long, then it's going to have a negative impact on your relational dynamic. Now, can we put a specific number to it? Can we say, well, you know, you have to be in each season for 6 months, 3 months, 1 year? I don't want to do that, because that can cause problems as well. But, just using an analogy, if you pick a fruit from a tree too soon, it's not ripe. It's bitter. You eat it. It's bitter. It's hard. If you pull it too late, now it's rotten. It's spoiled. Mm-hmm. You see, so timing has a lot to do with it. And so there should be a natural progression from one season to the next. And you progress from one season to the next when you are in alignment, right? And in agreement with your partner. There's a scripture that says, can two walk together unless they be in agreement? And so many couples are not in agreement with one another. They have a different value system. They have a different relational code of ethics. They have different expectations. They haven't defined what commitment is, what love is, what fidelity is. They just got into a relationship because, hey, we were both available and it seemed like it could work, but they don't have the proper building blocks for a successful relationship. So to be married, or I'm sorry, to be in a relationship 5-10 years, that doesn't really mean anything, because though you may be in a relationship for 10 years, your relationship's maturity may only be 3 months old. You see what I'm saying? It's not about the length of time. Just like they say, just because you're older doesn't make you an elder. Just because you're of a certain age doesn't mean that you have the wisdom of an elder. Likewise, in your relationship, there's something called developmental relationship, or there's something called relationship developmental lag. So what that means is that your relationship has retarded, if you will. There's a retardation in your relationship because it hasn't gone through a proper developmental process, because you didn't do what was necessary to get you there. So what I'm saying to you, if a woman is in a relationship with a man who does not want what she wants, why is she still there? What is she holding on to? Is there a fear that I've been in this for so long, I've reached a certain age and I don't know if I'll ever be able to find someone again? Are there insecurities? Are there financial ties to a particular person? Like, what's keeping you in something that's not serving you?
Yeah, I was in a position, not like that, but I was faced with having to make a real crucial decision. And this came to me: the time I have left is more valuable than the time that I've spent. And I tell this to individuals constantly that I engage with in the public, and we're having relationship conversations, and this type of topic comes up, and they're like, I'm caught in this in between, whether it's a man or a woman. I always say, well, look at it like this: the time you have left is more valuable than the time that you've spent. The time that you spent is already done, but the time you have left, you haven't even met yet. There's people you haven't met yet. There's laughter and joy you haven't even experienced yet. So we bring it back to now the man that's in that position. I would tell the man leave as well. But I say this first: women have so much power.
True.
I tell this to the women that I meet: you have so much power. Some women may not understand the amount of power they have. Maybe they don't have the environment that's grooming them and influencing them. They're probably being influenced by a large majority of media streams, but they have so much power. The man can only, if women stood ground, that man's going to have to either come up or back off. So what do we tell the man? I just want to put that point out there real quick.
What do we tell the man in regards to what?
He's in that position.
Oh, same thing. Leave.
Just leave.
Leave. Because at the end of the day, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your years. And that time could be invested in so many other things. You know what? Rather than wasting your time invested in a bad relationship with another person, why don't you take the time to invest in the relationship with yourself, with your creator? Because it puts you in a better position to choose the correct one the next time. See, a lot of us choose from a deficit because we're not where we need to be. And as we become individuals of value, and I'm not talking about the high value man and the high value woman craziness that has been perpetuated in society by personalities. I think that's probably one of the things that has poisoned relationships, because high value men and high value women have been determined by how much money you make. Has nothing to do with character, integrity, has nothing to do with relational values or anything.
How's your body?
Right. How's your body? So there's surface, superficial things that are not long lasting. And if that's your criteria, then it's a problem. So I think what men and women need to do, we need to unlearn and relearn. We've collected ideas along the way that really don't serve us or the relationships that we ultimately want. And we have to be able to go through a detox. We have to release, we have to brainwash ourselves of all of the mess that's out there. Like, you listen to people who have what you want. If anybody wants a successful relationship, listen to people who have them. Why are so many relationship experts single, divorced, on their third and fourth and fifth marriage? Why am I listening to you? I want to listen to people who bear the fruit and have the results of what it is that they speak? Do they live their message? And even if the lessons are hard lessons to receive, I know that they work because I see the evidence of it. And so you can't look at Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and social media and quick sound bites to get relational wisdom and advice for your life. It doesn't work that way. So sometimes you got to get alone and by yourself. You got to get separate and single, because there's a difference. We're in a relationship, right? We break up, we're separate. But if my heart and my mind is still with you, if we're still connecting and still having sex casually and still talking, we're not single yet. I got to get alone and by myself and single. And I got to rediscover who I am, the God that's in me. And guess what? Read about the laws that make a successful relationship work. Unless you do that, all you're going to do is sign up for more of the same with someone else. Different name, different face, same scenario.
So what I'm gathering is all of this pain and this weight and these experiences have shaped our perspective, leading us to come up with the saying, marriage doesn't matter.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a number of things that we have in our minds made connections. We've connected dots and come up with the conclusion that there's no point, it doesn't really work, it doesn't really matter, and it's self-sabotaging. If you look at history all throughout the world, the most successful people, the most influential people come from a family line in a family tradition. That family line and that family tradition was created ultimately by a man and woman who decided to come together and to build a legacy. And so what you do is not just for you, but it's for the generations that you'll never have an opportunity to meet. So when we're talking about leaving a legacy, it's more than just finances that you leave your children and your children's children. No, it is a lifestyle. It is a mindset. It is a culture. And we are living out a culture that was created for us hundreds of years ago. And so when a husband and wife come together with purpose and intentionality, they have the opportunity of influencing generations to come, making an indelible mark not only on their lives, but in the world that cannot be erased. But it cannot happen, or it's very difficult to happen, when you have two casual people who come together for sex, didn't work out, move on to the next. Like, the family at the end of the day is the core and the crux and the foundation of the future.
Yes.
But it starts with the coming together of a healthy man and a healthy woman.
You touched on we unpacking a lot, and I know we can go on and on and on. Those key words, exposure, who you are. One of the most powerful words, agreement.
Yes.
There's no commitment without agreement. There's agreement. How can two walk together lest they be in agreement? We can agree on a lot of things, but if we don't agree on the main thing,
There it is.
then we're going to separate.
An agreement is a law. It's a law. See, if we truly understand what we're talking about here, and just as there are laws that govern the body, laws that govern the universe, laws that govern electricity, if you learn to obey a law, then the law will ultimately obey you. Think about an electrician, right, who understands the law of energy. Energy travels in a particular direction. Well, if you're ignorant and you don't know that, you can kill yourself. But if you understand how the law of electricity works and submit to that law, you can manipulate that to do what you want to do, like power machines, turn on lights. So if you obey the law of energy, the law of energy will obey you. If you obey the law of nature, the laws of nature will obey you. If you obey the law of God, the laws of God will obey you. If you obey the laws of marriage, the laws of marriage will obey you, meaning it will serve you, it will benefit you. But if you're ignorant of it, then you will always have a mentality that would suggest that this thing just doesn't work. You ever buy something and didn't read the manual, and no matter what you do, you're pressing buttons and turning things, and nothing's working because you didn't choose to go back to the original source that created the thing that you purchased? Marriage is the same exact way. And when we go back to the source and figure out how this thing works, and we work it, it will work.
So I'm doing this thing now. At the end of every episode, I'm giving the person a word, and I want them to define that word and then tell me how that applies to their life.
Okay.
So the word that comes to me is rebel.
Well, to rebel is to go against something, right? To be a rebel without a pause, as long as there is a cause, is a good thing. I choose to rebel against the system. I choose to rebel against this culture. I choose to rebel against the world traditions that would suggest that to live a cavalier sexual dating life and just, que sera, sera, do whatever I want, serve me, myself, and I rebel against that because I'm a child of the king and I live according to a kingdom culture. And so rebelling against one system means that I'm in complete obedience to another.
Good answer. Good answer, man.
Thank you, sir.
Sound like that one was pre-written. But okay, so as we wrap this up, man, Hasani, I want you to look at the camera, let the people know where you're from, what are you doing, the lives you're changing, all the impact, man.
My name is Hasani Pettiford, and I'm the co-founder of Couples Academy here in Atlanta, Georgia. You can go to our website at couplesacademy.org. My wife and I have a practice. We're infidelity recovery specialists. We're marriage coaches, and we would love to connect with you on social media. Go to our YouTube channel, subscribe. We have a daily show, and we would love to be a part of your marriage story.
And listen, if you're single, dating, married, and you're looking for tools to build and have a healthy relationship, tune into the Value TV show. I'm Jamel Jackson, your relationship mechanic. We're over and out. Peace.